are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
Final from Neville Arena. Auburn gets the win versus South Carolina 71-67. Let's talk about it right here inside the town.
The Auburn Express. You are now listening to the War Report Longtown Podcast. With your boy Iannone.
Y'all know what it is. It's Lobtown. Auburn versus South Carolina. Just goes final from Neville Arena 71-67. Your Auburn Tigers are the winners in this one. Big game from Filip Jovic. Definitely want to talk about his game. Before we get into this, make sure that you guys are going ahead and sharing the content with somebody. Bring more to Auburn family in here. Let's have this conversation tonight. Auburn gets their second SEC win. Should probably be their fourth. I ain't going to hold you. Like, they probably should have beat Georgia. Probably, let's not get into the probablys of what should have happened, what should have, could have, would have. Right now, they've got 2 SEC wins, one of them against a top 20 team in Arkansas, and then they beat South Carolina, who's probably one of the worst teams in the conference. But not an easy victory. Auburn shot abysmally from the field. Honestly, this was just an ugly, disgusting offensive performance from both teams. Auburn shot 41% from the field. South Carolina only shot 40% from the field. The big difference and why this game was even close was the 3-point line, and you just don't have the points there from Hall. Now, I said this at in the wake of the Missouri game, that you really can't have a situation where your 2 leading scorers, being Tahai Pettiford and Keyshawn Hall, are contributing so little on offense and expect to win. You can if you're going to have an offensive explosion from a guy like Filip Jovic, though, but you can't count on that night in and night out. If Jovic starts to become a 20-point guy, then this Auburn team becomes unbeatable, because then you can't double team Hall the whole game or try to run bodies at Tahai if those 3 are on the floor at the same time, because he doesn't demand the ball in order to be able to score. If he's going to be a guy that can score the way in which he did tonight, then Auburn becomes a team that's way too dangerous. They still need to get some 3-point shooting, but it's a very different squad if you allow freedom for those other 2 guys, because Jovic is out there. But anyway, we'll get into the Filip Jovic show here in just a minute. I do want to talk specifics about the team before we talk about Filip Jovic in general, or the generals of the team, before we get into the specifics of Filip Jovic. Again, 41% from the field, 23 of 56. Shooting out there for Auburn tonight, not a great job, particularly again from the 3-point line, 2 of 19 for a paltry 11% from 3. Ugh, disgusting. Free throw shooting was okay, not great, not bad. 77%, 23 of 30. I think the more disappointing part of that was you had some free throw misses there from Tahai Pettiford, who could have been in double figures had he just made his free throws, and he's a really good free throw shooter. Total rebounds actually in favor of South Carolina in this game, 39-35. Second chance points also in favor of South Carolina. That's a statistic that you expect Auburn to win versus this South Carolina team, as offensive rebounds and second chance points was not the case in this one. Points in the paint, though, absolutely dominated by Auburn again in this game, 42-26. Bench points, of course, most of those, if not all, coming from Filip Jovic, because I don't think Freeman scored a single point. Actually, yes, every single point off the bench came from Filip Jovic in this game. The rest of the bench contributed nothing to you when they came in offensively. 23-9 in favor of Filip Jovic versus South Carolina there. 8 block shots on the game, 10 steals, 10 assists on 23 made buckets. I like the ratio of assists to made buckets. Don't like the number of made buckets there. So, yeah, let's get into Filip Jovic. Let's talk about him, because, again, he was the star of this game for Auburn. 23 points on 9 of 12 shooting. A couple of times he definitely put a couple of people on his poster. You know what I'm saying? So he took 1 3, which was ill-advised and disgusting looking when it came out of his hand. But, you know, hey, what it is. 5 of 8 from the free throw line. Not a great percentage there, but glad to see him be able to knock down 5 big free throws and get 6 boards in this game. In addition to those 6 boards, let me get to him. He had 1 block shot and 2 steals. A highlight steal where he gets the steal and goes coast to coast and then flushes it. I loved that from him. So good to see Filip Jovic have a breakout game when you have a guy like Keyshawn Hall, who is your leading scorer, only play. Hall had a total of 14 minutes in this game. Picking up the slack there was Filip Jovic in this one. Next leading scorer for Auburn, 2 guys at 11. That was Murphy, who I think had a really good game. Curiously, out of the game there at the end of it, I thought they would have had him in there rather than Williams Adams. I understand Adams is technically a better ball handler, but I think Murphy would have provided a little bit more veteran leadership out there towards the end and some more size to be able to contend towards the end. I do wonder why he played so few minutes in the second half of this game. In fact, in the second half of that game, Keyshawn Murphy only played 7 minutes and was not in foul trouble. So I do wonder what was, I get Jovic was playing well. I think he should have played a little bit more of what Adams' minutes were. So Jovic could play the 4 and you'd have Murphy there at the 5, but you played a lot of minutes with Jovic at the 5 in the second half of this game, with Hall being out for an extended period of time. So very curious about that, but maybe that'll come up in the post game as to what the situation was there. But Murphy had 11, as well as Williams Adams with 11. 3 of 9 shooting for Williams Adams, 0 of 2 from the 3-point line, 5 of 7 from the free throw line. A much better free throw shooting performance from Sway in this game. He came down with 8 boards. He was the leading rebounder for Auburn today. 1 assist, but had 3 turnovers, and all 3 of them were pretty disgusting. Like, they were not very good plays from him. 1 block shot and 3 steals in this game, though, in his 34 minutes. A lot of minutes there logged for Williams Adams in this game. Looking at Murphy's stat line, 8 points on 2 of 7 shooting. He was 0 of 3 from 3. He had some really good looks from 3 that he just did not knock down today. He was perfect from the free throw line. No, he was not. I'm looking at the wrong thing here. He was not 0 of 3. He was 0 of 1. He had a good look that he missed. He was 3 of 3, though, perfect from the free throw line. Only 2 rebounds in this game, 1 assist, but no turnovers. 2 block shots and a steal there in his 21 total minutes. So good game for him in this one, all things considered. But again, the story of this game easily is Filip Jovic and how much he's contributed. Really, since December, Filip Jovic has turned into a very reliable effort guy. He has become what I thought Sebastian Williams Adams was going to be in terms of just effort and energy plays, getting the loose balls, playing really tough defense, and giving you physicality in the post, though being undersized. He's turned into that, what I thought Williams Adams was going to be for this team. I liked early when I saw him get downhill. I was like, oh, he's really just a downhill driver, and he's continued to be that. But I like the other elements that he's giving you with his ability to finish around the rim through contact, his ability to go out there and get loose balls and snag rebounds. I love everything from an effort and energy standpoint that Filip Jovic gives you. Intangible stuff like the way he sets screens, defensively, the way that he's walling up on the defense. Like, you love everything that you're seeing from Filip Jovic right now. If you could have 2 or 3 more of people giving you that kind of defensive effort on a consistent basis, this Auburn team changes what they can possibly be, at least on the defensive side, where you're starting to really hold teams into the 60-point scoring thing on a consistent basis. Now, it doesn't help you score anymore because Filip Jovic isn't stepping out shooting threes consistently. He's not putting the ball on the floor consistently, being able to ISO, but it does help you just be gritty and tough. So I like that he gave the team today. Outside of that, again, you gotta love what you saw. Listen, let me give props on the score sheet is not going to give I think how good a game Tahad Pettiford had tonight, right? I think people are going to, and I haven't been reading you guys' chats, so I don't know if anybody's mentioned him. Other than the phantom turnover there at the end of the game, I think Tahad Pettiford actually played a really good basketball game today. 5 assists in just that 1 fluky turnover is what you want from your point guard. I can deal with, again, I'd like for him to make a couple of more of those free throws. Definitely would like him to shoot a couple of more of those threes. He was 1 of 5 from 3. But, for him to score 9 points with 5 assists and play the type of defense that he played, he had 2 block shots in this game. That's all I really need from my point guard, really. Like, I don't need him to be a scoring threat. The problem is Auburn doesn't have enough offensive punch, so you feel like you need more from him on the offensive end when you don't have enough scorers around him. If he had guys that were making shots around him more consistently, Tahad could average 5 to 7 assist per game if guys were just making shots a little bit better. I like the fact that he's seeing the floor a little bit better. I just wish that he could couple that with it seems like he's either going to be a scorer or he's going to be a distributor. When he's neither, then they're terrible, right? Like, and which is he wasn't either in that Missouri game. But when Auburn is at their best, you get one of those two. I wish he could find a way to combine them, though, right? To have a game where he's giving you 5+ assists with a 5-to-1 ratio assist to turnovers, and he's giving you 15 to 17 points per game. I wish he could find that on a consistent basis. And if he can figure out how to be that guy, again, I just mentioned if you have, that kind of stuff from Filip Jovic, if you have that to Hyde Pettiford, changes the trajectory of what this Auburn team could be. The thing is, I know he's got it in him, right? And so it's not a thing I've seen Tahad go out there and put up buckets, and he's getting shots. He just needs to make them a little bit more consistently this season. His percentages from the field and three are just not what they were last season. So a lot of work that needs to be happening there for him to be more consistent in that regard. The other thing that is inexplicable game to game is what you're getting offensively. I like the effort he gives you almost every single game, but what you're getting offensively from Kevin Overton just has not looked good consistently there. But clutch free throw making there at the end for KO. Love to see that. I just want him to take better 3-point shots than he's taking right now in this game. He was 1 of 5 from 3. I think 3 of those 5 or 4 that he missed were just not good shots. But again, he had a big 3 late in the game to extend the lead, some clutch free throws there, and always great effort on defense for the vast majority of this game. Really bad turnover there at the end, man. Like, I just don't even know what happened there with that. But overall, listen, it's a win, a 4-point win. You protect your home floor for another game there, even though you have lost that one game to Texas A&M. But a good win at home versus a team that's very scrappy. Not mad at that overall. Want to get over here into some of you all's comments. Before I do, definitely want to thank the good folks over at the Tax Express. The Tax Express has been a great sponsor of the War Report this season and during this basketball season. And I appreciate them so much for continuing to be sponsors of the War Report. Great shout out to them. It's tax season, and it is that time of year where you need to start making sure you have your plan together. And if you do need to get a plan together, reach out to the good folks over at the Tax Express. They've been doing this thing for a long time, since 2004, helping thousands of clients stay on track, and personalized, efficient tax preparation services, what you need to maximize your return, whether you prefer in-person or virtual convenience. They got you covered. Book online, upload your documents securely, and relax while they handle the rest. And don't forget, your financial future matters. Ask them about life insurance options to protect what matters most. They are located at 4144 Carmichael Road, Suite 1 in Montgomery, Alabama, an authorized IRS e-file location. Convenient, reliable, and trusted. Book now and relax later. Call 334-578-0267 or visit thetaxexpressmtg.com. Scan that QR code to schedule your appointment, upload your documents, or get directions. The Tax Express, keeping you on track since 2004. We are all aboard. All aboard here inside of the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report Live Town Show, talking about the Auburn dub versus South Carolina. I want to get over here into some of you all's comments. Thank you so much for joining us. If you haven't hit that like button, please go ahead and do that. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Share the content with somebody, but let's get into you all's comments. Floppy says that 3-point shooting, though, it was disgusting. Absolutely, for sure. Disgusting. Floppy also jumps back in and says, my fear is that we run Tahad away like we did Aiden, forcing him to play a position that he isn't made for. Fear that he goes to Alabama most and averages 30 points per game. Listen, man, if he goes to Bama, bro, I don't even want to speak that man's name no more. Would he transfer somewhere else and so he can be more of that guy? I don't think. So here's the thing. I don't think that was the plan ever for Tahad, right? And I think a part of what made him comfortable with coming back to Auburn was getting the feedback that he needed to be that kind of player at his size to get to log major minutes in the NBA. Like, he needs to be able to be trusted with the ball in his hand late game, to make good decisions, to make good passes. And they needed to see more of that with him being a lead guard. So whether he wants to enjoy his collegiate career by scoring more points or not. If he wants to play in the NBA, he needs to be able to do both. He needs to be able to score, and he needs to be able to be trusted not to have high turnover games, and he can be a distributive guy at his size. So if that's a fear, then I don't think that that's Tahad having the foresight necessary for him to be the guy he needs to be. I just think he needs to knock down shots when he gets his opportunities. He needs to be instant offense if he's going to be a guy coming off of the bench, but he needs to be a point guard controlling the flow if he's going to play NBA basketball. Lawrence jumps in and says, what do you think about the Sway Murphy Jovic rotation? I talked about this a little bit, and I didn't even see your question here. I do think Murph had too few minutes. Sway probably had too many minutes. I love the minutes that Jovic has because of what he gave you tonight. But I would have liked to see, so Keyshawn Murphy played 21 minutes. Sebastian Williams Adams played 34, right? Like, I think that's too many minutes for Sway, too few minutes for Murphy. So I do wonder if there's something going on with him health-wise, if he tweaked something or something like that, because I just think that's way too many minutes for Sway. Floppy jumps back in and says, Tahad was great defensively. Loved what I saw from Tahad on the defensive end tonight. Lawrence says he distributed the ball well. Absolutely. 5 assists and 1 turnover is what you want from your point guard, especially if he's going to handle the ball as much as Tahad does. Lawrence jumps back in. I also feel like Murphy has more offense in him than he's producing. I agree. I think that they need to get Murphy the ball a little bit more in the low post. I think that this team can be an inside-out basketball team if they shoot the three a little bit better. And they can be a high-low team with Murphy or Sway at the top, Jovic or Hall at the bottom. I don't like Hall at the top, even though he's the better ball handler. But if you're playing high-low, I think that Murphy and Sway are better passers out of that spot. Murphy's a little bit better shooter than Sway from the mid-range. But when Sway can get that ball at the top and he can get downhill or he can make the high-low pass, I think that's a really good offense for Auburn to be able to run. I'd like to see them do that a little bit more. Do some of the stuff that they did with Janai Broome, even though neither of those guys are the offensive weapon that Janai Broome is. I'd like to see them run some of that high post action for those two guys, because I think they make good decisions from the high post. And I think that, like you said, Murphy has more he can offer you offensively than they're allowing him to do. And I think it would change that offense tremendously if they would do that. I understand the gravity that Janai Broome brought to you, and brought to the offense where they would want to double team him in the high post. I think it's even more effective with a person like Murphy or Sway, who they're not going to double consistently, so that they can run action off of that and not have to worry about where double teams are coming from. I'd love to see them do that a little bit more this year with two guys that I think pass the ball effectively, and a guy like Murphy who can score the ball in a lot of crafty ways when he gets into the lane. Let's see. Another one here from Floppy, who says he just seems like he's made for the two. He wants to play off the ball and shoot, and I think that's why he gets so frustrated. I mean, I think he gets frustrated more so because of I think Tahad's a guy that likes to win. And I think, like, I saw him be energized tonight in a very different way, locking in defensively. And I think he was energized in a very different way to be a distributing guard tonight than he has been in other times. I do think that him getting buckets energizes him as well. But I don't know, man. I think his frustration comes from them losing more than anything else. And then when that frustration starts to happen, he starts to force shots, or he gets frustrated with himself for not making shots he thinks that he should make. But for me, I like, if Todd can play a game like he did tonight for the remainder of this season, I would love to see that. Let's see. Grabbed a lot of Green Name Gang stuff. I'll try to back up and grab some other folks here before we get into plus minus. AU Knockout Punch said Jovic had himself a game tonight. Agreed wholeheartedly with you there. Let's see here. Bit B says poor Tahad can't buy a three despite great looks. Yeah, he just did not shoot the ball well from three at all tonight. AU Knockout Punch says what needs to be said, nobody could buy a three. It was terrible for this team. Bit B's comes back. Keyshawn Hall looked tired. I don't know if fatigue was what I would say. He definitely did not. I don't know. He was still kind of in a the same haze that I feel like the entire team had at Missouri. Hall still seems like he's kind of in that funk right now. And he definitely was out there playing frustrated once he had picked up a couple of fouls and he had turned the ball over. Like, listen, man, I'm not saying they definitely are. But man, at times I ain't gonna hold you, bro. I said this during our Green Name Game stream. Shout out to y'all, watch party Green Name Game. At times it be looking like this team point shaving, bro. Like, cause some of the stuff they're doing, I'm just like, bro, like what on what planet did you feel like that was a good basketball play? And they're just too good at certain points to just do some of the stuff that they do that's inexplicable. So I don't know, man. I just want them to play better basketball more consistently, and they have these times where it's just like they're in this funk, and I want to see them get out of that. All right, getting into everybody's favorite time of the show, and we'll wrap it up here, and that is with our plus minus. Plus minus brought to you by nobody, but you know, if you want to sponsor the plus minus, you could do that. We'll start with our lowest plus minus. I got to mention Blake Muselik and what he did defensively before I get into that, because I did like the minutes that he gave you. But he is your lowest guy on the plus minus tonight at a -6. He contributed nothing offensively for you. He only had the one steal, but I did think it was a really good play that he made there. So he was a -6 on the night. Two players at -2. That is Keyshawn Murphy and Simon Walker. Simon Walker came in the game and didn't really play very many minutes. He only played 2 minutes. Didn't think he had bad minutes out there. I do wonder why they didn't insert him again into the game, because I didn't feel like he was bad. I do need to go back and watch those 2 minutes again and say, okay, like, how come we couldn't sneak him in a few more minutes here to get KO a breather and maybe stretch the floor a little bit when you know you're not shooting the ball well? I don't know. But I would like to see, in a game in which you only hit 2 3-pointers, I'd like to see Simon Walker get some opportunities to shoot the ball. But that is all for our negative plus minus for that. Heavy saying he'll sponsor plus minus. Thank you. Plus minus brought to you by our guy Heavy. At a 0 overall, Elijah Freeman did not have a good game. Did not have a good game to me. He was an even plus minus tonight. Did not score a single point. 0 of 5 from the field, 0 of 2 from the free throw line. He did have 6 boards, which I liked his energy and effort there. I did not think he played great on the defensive end. Good, not great. I think he had some bad fouls, which is why he had ended up with 4. And then he gets 2 blocked shots there. But on the offensive end, nothing was good from him. He had some wide open looks that he just absolutely missed. He smoked some stuff that he probably should have made around the rim. I just did not think that Elijah Freeman had a very good offensive game at all tonight, but he was even on the plus minus. Next up with a +2, getting into the positive side of plus minus, was Sebastian Williams-Adams, 11 points on 3 of 9 shooting, 5 of 7 from the free throw line, 8 rebounds. 1 assist, but 3 turnovers for Williams-Adams, 1 block and 3 steals in this game in his 34 minutes of action. Next up on the plus minus at a +5, surprisingly, Filip Jovic, only a +5 tonight, but 23 points on 9 of 12 shooting. I think that's has to do a lot with how many minutes he played, but he did play well. But he contributes to winning. They won this game by 4 points, and he was a +5, right? So he contributed to winning in a very real way. Had 6 rebounds, no assists, but no turnovers either, a block shot and 2 steals in his 30 minutes of action. That leaves 3 players. I'll give you guys some time to get some guesses in there if you want to, as to who had the highest plus minus tonight. Left on the board are Tahad Pettiford, Keyshawn Hall, and Kevin Overton. Which player do you think had the highest plus minus? I don't know if I've ever explained the plus minus statistic for those of you who don't know how this works. But plus minus is essentially scoring while you're on the floor, right? Like, did the lead extend more when you were on the floor, or did your team lose more points than when you're on the floor, right? So if you're on the floor, for instance, a guy like Simon Walker, who played 2 minutes, in the 2 minutes that Simon Walker was on the floor, Auburn was outscored by 2 points, right? So that's how the plus minus works. It's a really weird statistic, because some of that doesn't have to do with you specifically, but it is a way to indicate how you feel like a player is contributing to winning basketball. And you really, when you look at plus minus as a statistic, it's better to look at it in terms of lineups. Like, what was the plus minus for this particular lineup? With these group of 5 players, how well did Auburn extend or relinquish the lead? Or are there particular guys that factor in where it's like when he comes off of the floor, Auburn's a worse basketball team? Or when he inserts himself into the game, Auburn's a better basketball team because they contribute to winning basketball in a very specific way. Anyway, last 3 here. Again, Tahad, Kevin Overton, and Keyshawn Hall are your final 3 there on the plus minus. I see a couple of guesses in here. We'll knock one of them off the board. At a plus 6 was Kevin Overton tonight with his 9 points on 3 of 8 shooting. 1 of 5 from the 3-point line, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, 2 big clutch free throws there from KO, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, but 2 turnovers, one of them a very bad turnover, and 3 steals for him in his 37 minutes. He logged the most minutes of any player tonight, contributing to why his plus minus is a little bit lower. He was on the floor more for Auburn. And then we get to our final 2. Coming in at second highest plus minus on the night was the guy who logged the least amount of minutes of any major contributor, Keyshawn Hall, with 8 points on 2 of 7 shooting, 4-4 from the free throw line, 4 rebounds, but did have those 4 personal fouls, which kept him off the floor a lot. 4 huge turnovers for him, 3 of them like back-to-back possessions. Like 2 of them, he threw the ball away and then had an offensive foul. His 4th foul of the game was an offensive foul later on in the game. So 2 of his turnovers were on offensive fouls, and the other 2, he threw the ball directly to the other team. Really bad turnovers there for him tonight. Did not have a great night, but again, when he was on the floor, Auburn's extending their lead. So despite him having a bad game, Auburn is better when Keyshawn Hall can play minutes. And so that means your guy leading in plus minus again. It's indicative there. Tahad Pettiford with a plus 10 on the night, 9 points on 2 of 8 shooting, 1 of 5 from 3, 4 of 6 from the free throw line with 2 rebounds, 5 assists, and just 1 turnover, 2 blocked shots in his 33 minutes of action. Tahad Pettiford played a really good basketball game tonight. Love to see it. Let's see here. Getting back over into the comment section. P-Pass ask, any news on Magwood? I do wish that Howard stayed. Ja'Kai Howard, I saw recently, had to take a leave of absence from the team over there. I think he's at Utah. So hopefully everything's going well with him. They say it was a family issue. So hopefully everything's well with him. Magwood, I think he's just in the doghouse right now for some of his behavior off the floor. I don't have any specifics on any of that stuff. And I definitely, and let me say this, if I did have more specifics, which I truly do not in this instance, if I did have more specifics, I would not say more than what Auburn already has said. So the only news I have is that he's got to do some stuff off of the floor to get him into a position where they feel good about playing him a little bit better on the floor. And he needs to be showing better effort on the defensive end, because right now, I think Stephen Pearl has decided, all right, we're not going to be a great offensive team night to night, but we can improve our effort and energy on defense. And if you're going to play defense for me, you're going to play basketball. So he's committed to playing the guys that are going to give him the best defensive energy for 40 minutes. Jovic on a revenge tour, says P-Pass. Had some guesses here. Tahad Overton. Tahad, of course, was the correct answer there. Lawrence says, do need to get that free throw percentage up. I agree. And free throws, like, I listen, man, I don't know how you can improve free throws. I just don't know, man. Like, they're shooting them in practice, but like, it doesn't help you in pressure situations. Some people just never improve on that. And this is a team that needs to find a way. I've seen some improvement from the beginning of the year. If you look at where they were to start the season and where they are now, they've improved by like 5 or 6 percentage points as a team. But it's still like, you would love for this team to be, on the night from the free throw line, they shot 77%, which is actually above, I think, the national average, which is like the low to mid 70s. But you'd like to see them be closer to 80 something percent to feel good about it. But I don't know that there's just not a lot of teams that are shooting in the 80s as a team percentage wise, just because guys that get fouled most often on most teams are going to be bigs because they're doing most of the in the paint stuff where a lot of the contact happens. And a lot of those guys don't tend to be really good free throw shooters. That's just kind of how it works statistically. But you do want your guys like Tahai Pettiford to shoot a better percentage. You want to keep Keyshawn Hall shooting where he's shooting from a free throw percentage. You want Elijah Freeman to shoot free throws way better than he is right now. I don't know where he's at on the season right now, but it ain't good enough in my opinion. And then Sebastian Williams-Adams, a guy who is going to go to the free throw line a lot. You'd like to see him be way better than a 50% guy, right? He and Filip Jovic, I think, are the guys that are the most frustrating to watch at the free throw line because they are such a low, like Sway's not even shooting 50%. I think he's shooting like 48% or something crazy like that from the free throw line. Like, can you get at least into the 60s, bro? Because he's getting to the line a lot. And then Jovic is a guy who is kind of off and on from the free throw line. But at any rate, yes, they need to improve that much, much more than what they're doing right now. Listen, Heavy, I think everybody's gonna miss a guy like Cardwell for sure. Doug Dozier jumps in and says, who needs to apologize to Jovic on this thread? Probably a lot of people, man. I don't feel like I need to apologize to him, but I do think I need to applaud him. So I need to give them the praise as loud as I was with the critique on him, right? Because I told you guys at the beginning of the year, I wasn't going to go easy with my critiques on guys and say, hey, man, this guy's not playing good basketball right now. Filip Jovic was not playing good basketball. He's playing amazing basketball at this point in time in the season. So kudos to him for figuring it out, really adjusting himself to the physicality and the athleticism in this league and finding ways to do the things that he does really well. So props to Filip Jovic for that. All right, man. I think it is time for me to get up out of here and let you guys have your evening. I appreciate everybody for jumping in here. War Eagle to all of y'all out there. Please, before you get out of here, hit the like button on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Share the content with somebody. We definitely appreciate you guys being ambassadors for us out there. Green Name Gang, I promised you guys I was going to get you some more film. This week has been for me. I apologize so much, but I got y'all next week for sure because I have a couple of off days before I have to hit the road out there to Ole Miss. But I'm out of here, man. Love y'all so much. Until the next time, and as always, War Eagle.